enjoying playing the game so far since it launched on Xbox just yesterday at Gamescom. I picked up an Xbox just so I could try it out. It's got a completely new UI, and it's quite fun to play on a controller. Now, I still probably prefer my keyboard and mouse on my PC, but as far as the controller goes, I wanted to go through some tips and tricks from things that I noticed and some of the settings that I've changed as I've been tweaking. I just did my 5 ranked matches, won them all easily, and I've got a few tricks that just might help you out if you're getting started on the controller. And if you're just now getting into Age of Empires, make sure you check out my YouTube channel for all kinds of guides I have. I'm going to have some different stuff. I'll include some controller specific stuff here in the near future. So with that, let's get started. And we got Twitch chat along for the ride. So you can watch on Microsoft's official website. They have a few like official videos that go through some of the basics, and I'm assuming you've already done the basic tutorial at the beginning. So I'm going to leave out some of the the bare bone things, but kind of give you some tips and tricks of things that have helped me out as I was experimenting. And the first thing I would recommend doing is just go into skirmish mode like I have here, with no AI, and just mess around with the controls until you feel, just a little bit comfortable with what's going on before you head into a match against the AI or even against a real person. Okay, so bring your attention to a few things. A really unique mechanic for the Xbox version is the auto. The villager management system, I think is what they called it today at Xbox. And you access this by holding left trigger and pressing down on the right stick. And it brings up a wheel that looks like this. Now, these are presets that they've made. They've called them different things: naval, economic, balanced. But basically what you want to look at is how are they distributing your villagers between food, wood, gold, stone, etc. So if you are brand new to Age of Empires, never played before, these might be really good for you to get started. So for instance, right now I'm gonna pick the age up, food and gold, and watch. I'm gonna select that, and you'll see that my villagers will start being tasked doing things. So they're going to start getting some food and gold. It's definitely not perfect, but you'll see how it works as you mess around with it. Now, the first thing you really want to do, click your town center when the game starts and turn on the auto villager training. This is a really cool feature. It's not on the PC version. And basically once you turn that on, your town center will always be training villagers, assuming you've got enough housing population for them. But that's the first thing you want to do every game. It's pretty cool. So you could turn on this auto age up macro. You could turn on auto going training villagers, and you're going to be off to a great start. Now, speaking of house building, you see how it automatically assigned that villager? Pretty cool. Speaking of house building, you can select a single villager and then pull up your radials, and build like this. Select your house, whatever, and build it. But what's really cool about the controller is you can issue a lot of commands without selecting a villager at all, which is really different from the PC. So for instance, I can come over here to my gold vein, right? And I don't have anything selected. And if I pull up the menu with the right trigger, look at that. The first thing it offers you is to build a mining camp, because that's what you want to get gold. And if I set that, I don't have any gold villagers picked. If I set that down here, it'll select the nearest villager to build that, which is really freaking awesome. Same thing for the trees. Watch, if I right click on this, it gives me a lumber camp as the first option to put down. Really cool. You can also assign a villager to go straight towards it. So experiment around with, hovering over different things on the map, hold right trigger and see the options it gives you. You saw a mill there. This is also cool for the relics into the later parts of the game. I think there's a relic right here. I can see it right there. You can actually just tell the monk to collect the relic if you could get it later in the game. So actually, that's a pretty cool feature. You can't do it on PC. I like that. So click on things on the ground. In addition to, we just did the mining camp, you can do that for a house. So I need a house right now. So I'm going to right click on the ground. I'm going to go to the build menu, and I'm going to go up to my house. And there we go. It'll select the nearest villager to build it. I have noticed if you are using the villager management system as we are right now, you will never have an idle villager again, which is pretty cool. If you're not and doing everything manually, I have noticed that when you select these buildings, it always selects the idle villager first to build it. So if I was trying to build a gold mine here, right, like this, in this method, but there was an idle vill like over here, this idle vill would walk all the way over here to build it. So just be aware of that if you're not using the automatic villager management system. Okay, so it kind of feels like it is built that you should be using it, but I would say it's definitely for the more experienced. Now we're gonna go back into that villager management system by holding left trigger, clicking down the right joystick, and say you don't like the presets, you don't want to do these, you can press over on the D-pad to the right and take a look at that. So now I can just decide manually, well, let's put a few villagers on wood, maybe put like a few on gold, on stone, and it will kind of do percentages and redistribute your villagers like that. Now you saw a little warning there. I actually didn't have a mining camp, so it wasn't going to, they wouldn't go to the stone. So I actually need to build a mining camp. So we just did that. It picked the closest villager there to build it. So that's the villager management system. Use it. You can also turn it off. You can come over here, you can press X, disable it. I'm gonna leave it on so they work while we're doing this. Okay, let's age up real quick. I'm just gonna select the ground. I'm gonna go in up on the D-pad to age up, pick my landmark. This is a cool thing to show you. So it's gonna select one villager to build that, but typically for age up, you wanna put multiple villagers, right? You wanna build usually about 4 or 5 villagers building your landmark, depends on what you're doing. You actually don't click on the landmark and hold, because this just gives you the rally and the construction. You wanna have nothing selected, just like earlier. And if you do that right click thing, the right trigger, I can come over here and I can set the total vills I want working on this. I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 6 villagers will be retasked from somewhere and they will come and work on building that council hall. So if you're dropping a keep or just a building you want done quickly, remember, don't actually select it. You want to have it deselected, hold that trigger over it, and then you can set the total number of villagers you want to work on that. So that's a pretty cool feature. I've got a list of a few things I wanted to share with you guys, so I'm gonna make sure I've got everything. Oh, if you hold a left trigger and press right bumper, it will show the players that are in the game. So you'll see your opponent and it'll actually show their score. You want to come in here to the menu in the settings, and you want to go to, I think it's in the I can't remember if it's in the visuals. Let's see where it is. I did this a little bit ago. You want to turn on, no, it's not gonna be in this one. It would make sense to be in the game settings, but it's not. I think it might be in the camera. Where did I do this? It was in the turn on player information. I turned this on somewhere and now I can't remember where I did it. Anywho, it's in one of these menus. You turn on the, it was in visuals. Yeah, some of the menus don't always make sense. So there it is. You want to turn on the timer. See, I've got the timer turned on, and you can turn on player information, and you can turn on score, which is crazy because you can't see score in the PC version because it gives you info about the opponent, what they're doing. So it's very interesting they decided to choose that in here. But while we're looking at those menus, I'm not going to go too crazy about the settings. I might have just a separate settings menu video in general, but a few important ones that I would consider doing is, you know, this marquee selection here, when you hold down A, you can change the size, the max size. See how I have this really big one? That's not the default size, and you can also change how quickly it accelerates. So what I would encourage you to do is mess around with that until you get the right setting for you. So I think that's under control. I think it's in camera. Some of them they're not where you think they would be. Let's check. I think it's in camera. Oh. Yeah, I changed my pan speed. There it is. So the marquee size, I've set mine to large. You can go to largest, and I've got mine at about 32%. That's really going to be personal and up to you. But messing around with that, you can also change like how sticky the magnet, you know, as it kind of like jumps your cursor around. You can change some of those things around. But I highly recommend changing the speed of that because I think it's too slow with its default settings. And I also want to show you here on the water. Okay, so we have fish here. Now you might want to, you know, I showed you how to auto build the mining camp and stuff, but what about for the fish? So for the fish, you would think maybe like clicking in the water on the shoreline, it would give you the option for the dock. It doesn't. You have to just hover over top of the fish itself. And if you hold that right click, it will bring up that menu. So you see that? Now I've got it. And it actually kind of automatically snaps it to the shoreline, which is super nice. So, and it will, if you've got the villager management system on and you've got food on there, when you train a fishing boat, it will automatically go out and start fishing, which is a pretty cool thing. You can queue up commands. So on a PC, you might do this with holding shift and then clicking. On the Xbox, you're gonna hold the left trigger. Think of that as like your shift, and then you can issue, you know, mini commands, whether it's waypoints with your scout, which might be nice for scouting, you know, issue those commands, or it's with your villager, whatever it might be. Holding the left trigger is basically like your shift button in this game to queue up commands. So it's very useful thing to do. You can also, in addition to selecting with the marquee with A, you can hold B to have a deselection marquee. So look at that. That's pretty cool. I didn't see that in the tutorial. So I've got 8 villagers there, but if I do the deselection here by holding B, I got rid of those 3 that were selected. So I think that's a pretty cool little thing you can do there with the marquee tool as far as selecting your units. And I think for the last things I want to show you, as far as like training your units, use this quick find in that left bumper. It pulls up these menus, and of course you can use D-pad to decide which menu you want. But I leave it on this quick find thing, and I go up to military production buildings. And so like right now I've got an archery range because of that council hall. And so I can be looking here across the map, attacking my opponent, pull this up, and then I can start queuing up longbows, right? Without even looking at the building. And then I can set the waypoint, and it will set all of my military building waypoints to right here, and they'll start coming across the map and attacking. And I think that's super useful. When you're attacking, make sure you're using that attack move, which is going to be X on the Xbox. I need a house, so we're currently pop capped. But that's going to be probably my introduction. Those are some quick tips and tricks for using the Xbox version. Play around those marquee settings. I'd highly recommend that. Turn on the score and the player information, and then go into skirmish and just mess around with doing some of this building stuff. It's really going to help you get started. If you watched this far in the video, I hope you've enjoyed it. You probably have, so make sure you subscribe, hit a thumbs up on the video. It helps me out. Leave me a comment below, and catch me on one of my live streams, twitch.tv/FitzBro, and be on the lookout for more Xbox Age of Empires 4 tips and tricks, in addition to some expansion news for AoE4. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.